Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Tropics Talk. Meteorologist Jim Dickey here in Fort Myers, Florida, in the ABC 7 Hurricane Center, tracking, really right now, a cluster of thunderstorms into the western Caribbean Sea. This more or less hasn't moved. Sorry about that. We'll flash the graphics. This more or less hasn't moved in the last 24 hours. It's not showing much in the way of organization. You can trace out a couple things. Well, first off, you got your huge area of thunderstorms. Let me bring that size of that telestrator down a little bit. That line is huge. Line thickness 20. That'll be a little better for you. Okay. Yeah, so you still have this huge complex of thunderstorms, but it's sort of ripping down a looks to be an outflow boundary. This does not have any type of organization in appearance. This is, by my appearance anyway, no different than some typical summertime thunderstorms that would flare up here in Florida any given afternoon in a broad area of low pressure. You have some easterly winds, at least being detected on the satellite, going that way. You got some broad westerlies going that way. Yeah, so you do have that broad low pressure in general that these thunderstorms are forming within. Regardless, you sort of take a wider view. Our low, we'll say it's right about centered here. Even if there's no organization going forward, even if this does not become a proper tropical depression or tropical storm, you got your low, you got all of this rainfall on the eastern side of it, all this heavy thunderstorm activity. You're going to track this to the north and east. So what's going to be in line of all that rainfall? Yeah, that's much of southwest and south Florida. So as we go through, the different models with what they say for development, what they don't, the impacts are more or less locked in at this point, what we're going to feel regardless of what comes together here, and that is going to be some very heavy rainfall in all likelihood. Now there's the latest from the National Hurricane Center, still at 80% development chances this becomes a new tropical depression or tropical storm. Even subtropical storm, I think, is possible, as this is not only going to take strength from the warmer waters working across the southeastern Gulf of Mexico and the northwestern Caribbean Sea. But there's also a little dip in the jet stream, as I'll show you in a bit, and that's going to give it a little extra kick here too. So some tropical, some non-tropical development. It's that hybrid storm called a subtropical storm, and I think that's a possibility with this. It's going to be sort of a messy, sloppy system. Again, you can already see all of the rain on the eastern side, and that eastern side is what is headed toward Florida. There's the water temperatures, definitely warm enough for tropical development. Again, the threshold you look for, 78 degrees. But when you're talking a purely tropical system, this would be the sort of cross-section, the structure of a hurricane. It's sort of a perfect heat engine. You get low pressure to form at the surface. Air flows in towards that low pressure and rises up, and then vents in the upper levels of the atmosphere, that sort of void created by those winds going apart in the upper levels, creates high pressure. Strong high pressure then promotes some sinking air. That's how you get that eye in the hurricane. But bottom line, a tropical system that's strengthening, that's healthy, wants to be vertically stacked. Once that surface circulation, the mid and upper level circulations all stacked up, so it can be low pressure to the surface, high pressure aloft. Problem is when you bring wind shear into play, it's going to tilt the entire system, and that's what's going to happen in this case. It's never going to be able to establish that vertical structure, and so it's going to struggle to come together. You look at what's going on right there, right now, with the wind shear, and of note, if I can dive into this here too, I can show you there's this dip in the southern branch of the jet stream. Pretty profound little dip right there. This upper level trough and broad upper level low pressure there. That's going to help this to strengthen, but also in a, again, sort of non-tropical way with the cooler air advection there, with the venting going on by the upper level winds, but that is also going to keep a lid on any tropical development from it sort of getting that structure. So again, I think we're talking a sloppy sort of hybrid system as this tries to come together going forward. And this is what we're looking at on the European forecast model, which has been very consistent in showing that sort of broad low pressure coming together and coming right at us here in southwest Florida. This would be 7 o'clock Saturday morning, and this is a little bit of a change. The timing has slowed a little bit, most models you look at. This latest run of the European holds this off until the mid-morning hours, even the later morning hours on Saturday, bringing it on short, but this would be the worst weather still Saturday morning. A whole lot of heavy rain outrunning that low, which again, as we go back to what we're seeing right now on the satellite presentation, That's where the worst of the weather is, on the eastern side. So no surprise, the model's sort of holding on to that idea that that heavy rain is going to be outrunning where the surface low pressure is moving in during the morning hours on Saturday. There's your total rainfall from the European forecast model. Abroad, 2 to 4 inches. The further south you head, lots of indicators in the models, lots of signals in the models that South Florida in particular, from Naples south and then towards the East Coast, that's where the chances are for 6, 8, 10 inches of rain. The ingredients definitely in place. Some spots could get into those double-digit rainfall totals, I think. And then you look at the winds. The European forecast model keeps this fairly weak. This would be the peak wind gusts, 25, 30 miles per hour. So saying not much of a wind threat, I think that's going to be the case. Could a few spots, if this does ramp up a little bit, get at least tropical storm force gusts, especially by the coast? Absolutely. Not out of the realm of possibility. Tropical storm force sustained winds, I think at this point, I'm not seeing much in the guidance to suggest that that's going to be the case. But it's going to be breezy all the same. Sustained 25, 30 mile per hour winds. It's going to be a gusty day, but I don't think we're necessarily talking damaging winds at this point in time. Do you need to put up storm shutters? I really don't think so. Now, there's the latest 3 runs of the GFS forecast model. If you were watching over the last couple of days, going back to Monday, this model was showing everything going south. It has definitely come in line with the European, showing this moving right across southwest Florida. Now, of note, in the latest run, it actually has 2 centers of low pressure. That's just sort of suggesting, and this is what you're looking at, these circles are where the center of low pressure would be. This is just sort of suggesting on this latest run that this stays fairly weak and disorganized. It's a broad low pressure area, and it's struggling to sort of pick up on exactly where it's going to close off a surface low, which again also gives more confidence to the idea that this is not a very organized system as this moves in. But even with that being said, even as this model also keeps it weak, it also still throws a whole lot of rain our way. There you go, same story. The surface low is located off to the north and west of Cuba, 6 o'clock on Friday, but heavy rainfall outrunning that surface low, already working its way into southwest Florida. Heavy rain continues into the morning hours on Saturday. That's by just about noon, when the surface low is moving onshore, and then the rain departs. This model clears things out a little bit earlier, the timing a little bit earlier, but still, even in this particular model, the worst weather would be Saturday morning. We're talking the early morning hours until the mid-late morning. That's when the heaviest of the rain is likely to be working its way through the area. Rain total is a little bit lower on this model. It also brings some drier air in on the northwest side and leaves our northern counties with much less in the way of rain, but still shows abroad 4 to 8 inches in spots in parts of Collier County. This one really soaks the East Coast, putting down near 10 inches in Miami. So again, the ingredients in place, depending on exactly how the rain sets up, some spots are going to pick up 4, 6 inches of rain plus, and that is where we're going to be dealing with flooding in all likelihood. And that's the biggest threat. This graphic has more or less remained unchanged from me going back to Tuesday. The main threats, heavy rain and flooding. There'll be some gustier winds. I don't think we're really talking much of a wind threat at this point in time. It's something we'll be closely monitoring, though. And then the threat for tornadoes. You know, anytime you have a tropical system coming in, especially if you can get that surface low to close off, and that provides more shear on its own in the atmosphere, that can cause the spin-up tornadoes that we often see in landfalling tropical systems. The threat at this point looks to be fairly low, but that's also something we'll be watching for closely. And timing-wise with that, it would be as we're off to the east of the surface low. So from late Friday night through Saturday morning, we get some out of rain bands. I could definitely see a few spin-ups within that. So again, it's something we'll be watching for. There's my forecast right now of the storm total rainfall, 2 to 4, Lee County, Western Glades County, and then points north. 4 to 6. The highest rain totals look to be in Collier County and towards the East Coast, and certainly there will be higher amounts than that. I have locally higher amounts likely, not just possible, likely. Where again, the right ingredients come together, where rain sits for a while, you get some training rain bands, then we could be talking 8+ inches of rain. That's where we're definitely going to be dealing with some flooding issues. So we'll be watching this closely. Be sure you're checking back in for updates. Tonight, Chief Meteorologist John Patrick, he'll have the latest model runs for you at 6, 7, and 11 tonight. I'll be back tomorrow starting at 4:30, and we're going to be here for you all weekend long, tracking this as it moves its way into and through southwest Florida. Only 2 days into hurricane season. already tracking our first impactful tropical system here in Southwest Florida. So until next time, I'm meteorologist Jim Dickey. Stay safe out there.